Alright, so now we're going to resume from where we left off, which was question number 14. And let's see what do we have here. So this says the temperatures in degrees Celsius of 120 people were measured. The results are summarized in the cumulative frequency diagram. Alright, okay. The next part says use the diagram to find an estimate of the 20th percentile. Okay, so what exactly is the 20th percentile? Let's find out. 20th percentile basically means where 20% of the data is at. So 20% means 20 upon 100 and the total data means 120 people. So 20% of 120 is going to be equal to 2 times 12, which is 24. Now bear in mind 24 is not your final answer. Instead you're going to check the corresponding value of 24. So let's see. So here's 20. So one block above will be 22 and another block above will be 24. So let's find out the corresponding value of 24 and see what do we get. So we get 36.6. So our final answer is 36.6 degrees Celsius. Okay, so the next part says the number of people with a temperature betweens. Okay, so whenever you have between, this is what you do. So you look at the two values, one of them is 36.8 and the other is 37.0. Okay, so here's 36.8. Let's see the corresponding value of 36.8. And what we get is, let's zoom in a little. Yeah. So this is approximately 60, 62, 64. Okay, so here you have the corresponding value of 37.8. So that means 36.8, sorry. So that is 64. Let's write that down. And then let's find out the corresponding value of 37.0. So let's see, we're going to keep on going up till we touch the cumulative frequency curve. And then the corresponding value is easy to find, and that's 100. Okay. So what you're going to do now is, since the question is asking for between, you're going to take the difference of these two values. So 100 minus 64 is equal to 36, is it? Yeah. So our final answer is 36 people. Okay. Next we have the time taken by each member of a group of students to solve a problem was recorded. The sum of the results are summarized in the table and illustrated in the histogram. Okay. So let's underline histogram. So remember, whenever you're making histogram, on the y-axis you have frequency density, which by the way is equal to or is calculated as taking the frequency and dividing it by the class width. Now what exactly is the class width? Class width is the difference between each interval. So like for example, the class width of the first interval is going to be 1 because 2 minus 1 is 1, and then it's going to be 1 again, and then 1 again, and then 2, and then 2 again. Okay. So let's see what do we have and what exactly do we have to figure out. So the first thing we have to figure out is the value of P. Okay, so if I want to figure out the value of P, I can see that the frequency density of 4 to 6 is, first of all, 4 to 6, the bar of 4 to 6 is going to be this one, and then the frequency density I can see is 8. So this is what I will do. 8 is the frequency density. This is equal to the frequency, which I can see is P, divided by the class width, which I can see is 2. So let's see what is P equal to. 8 times 2 is 16. So the final answer is 16. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is complete the histogram. So first let's see the bars that are missing, and then we're gonna make those bars. So it's the first one that is missing. Okay, and we have the second, third and fourth, and it's the last one that is missing. Okay, so let's see. So for the first one, I'll have to calculate the frequency density, for which I'll take the frequency and divide it by the class width. So 6 upon 1 is 6, and 1 to 2, the height or the frequency density is going to be 6. So let's make this with a straight line ideally. So whoops, sorry, not 8, 6. Okay, so there you go. Let's bring this down. Let's do this again. Okay, and then for the next one, 6 to 8, if we have to calculate the frequency density, we're going to take 4 and divide by 2, so that's going to be equal to 2. So 6 to 8, we're going to take it up to 2. Okay, so here we go. Oops, sorry. And here we go. Okay, so now we have completed this question. We have made the missing, we have completed the histogram, and we have calculated the value of P. Okay, let's do question number 16 now. So in question number 16, it says that I have to calculate POC. So let's work out what POC is going to be equal to. First, let's identify angle POC. So angle POC is going to be this one. Okay. So actually, I should have read the question first. Let's do that now. The diagram AP, BQ, and CR are bisectors. Okay, the term bisect basically means to cut into half. Okay, so if these lines AP and BQ, here's BQ, oops sorry, let's do that nicely, here's BQ and CR are bisectors, that means they must be cutting the angles in half. That means the other half will also be 37 degrees and the other half here will also be 22 and the other half here will also be 31 degrees. So what exactly do I have to work out? I have to work out POC. So let's see if I have sufficient information now. Actually I do, and what I'm going to do now is, instead of working out POC right away or directly, I'm instead going to work out this angle, and once I have this angle I'm going to subtract it from 180 since we have a straight line here. Let me switch to the color red. So here's my working: 37 plus 22, and this answer I'm going to subtract from 180. Let's see, 37 plus 22, let's work it out here since this is paper 1, no calculator. So 9 and 5, so 59. Let's work out 180 minus 59. So that's going to be 121 degrees. Now remember, 121 degrees is not our final answer because 121 is this angle. So this angle is going to be 59 degrees. How? 180 minus 121. So 59 degrees is our final answer. Okay, the next part says, this is related to loci. It says, in the diagram shade the region containing the points which are nearer to AB than AC. Okay, so nearer to AB than AC is going to be this region, the region that I am highlighting. Okay, and nearer to CA than CB. So nearer to CA than CB is going to be this region. Okay, so what's the region where we have where both the conditions are met? That is this region that I'm highlighting in red. So this right here is going to be our final answer. Alright, now we have question number 17, which is related to probability. It says a bag contains 2 white beads and 1 black bead only. 2 beads are taken at random without replacement from the bag. Complete the tree diagram. Okay, so we have 2 white and 1 black. So the probability of 2 becomes 2 upon 3 and the probability of black is 1 upon 3, and which is something we already know. Okay, and then if you draw a white bead, so you got to notice that this is without replacement. So that means the probability of getting white again is going to decrease and it's going to become 2 upon 2, right? Sorry, it's not going to become 2 upon 2. In fact, it's going to become 1 upon 2. Why? Because we're going to decrease white by 1 and we're going to decrease the total by 1. However, the probability of drawing a black bead, so the number of black remains the same while the total will go down by 1 and it's going to be 2. So what if the first bead turns out to be a black bead? Then the probability of drawing a black bead is going to be 0 upon 2 because there was only 1 black bead which we have already drawn in the first attempt. However, the probability of drawing a white bead becomes 100% since we know that there are only white left in the bag. Okay, so we've completed the tree diagram. Let me just put W here. Then the question says, write down the probability that 2 black beads are taken. Well, that's pretty obvious. It's going to be 0. Why? Because if you read the question, we only have 1 black bead. So there's no need for showing any working here. However, if you're still curious, I can do it for you. So 1 upon 3 multiplied by 0 upon 2 is going to give me 0 upon 6, which is going to be 0 anyway. So that was a pretty easy question. Probability questions are getting technical, but this was quite an easy one. Okay. So next is question number 18, in which we have vertices of a triangle and we have them in coordinate form, and we have to show that AB, the length AB is equals to BC. So I'm going to work out the length AB first. So I'm going to need the coordinates of A for that, and I'm going to need the coordinates of B for that. So the coordinates of B are minus 1, 6. So let's work out the length. So AB is going to be equal to square root of 6 minus 0, the whole thing square, plus minus 1 minus 7, the whole thing square. Okay, so this is going to become 6 minus 0 is 6 and the square of 6 will be 36. Minus 1 minus 7 is going to be minus 8 and the square of negative 8 is going to be 64. So AB turns out to be square root of 100, which when simplified is going to be 10 units. Alright, so now I've got to show that this is the same as BC. That means I'm going to have to work out the length of BC. So the coordinates of B are minus 1, 6. The coordinates of C are minus 1, minus 4. So let's work out the length. So for which I'm going to do x2 minus x1. Actually, I can do it the other way around as well. By the way, the formula is, I'll write down the formula here in case you're wondering what exactly is going on. x2 minus x1, the whole thing squared, plus y2 minus y1, the whole thing squared. You can change the order. You can write y2 minus y1 first. Since we have a plus sign in between, it's going to make no difference. Okay, so, and also you can change x1 minus x2 also. Why? Because we have a square, so it's not going to make any difference. So anyway, So this is what we're going to do: minus 1 minus minus 1, the whole thing squared, plus, and I'm running out of space, so 6, sorry, minus 4 minus 6, the whole thing square. Yeah, so the length is going to be minus 1 minus 1 is going to be minus, actually this is going to be 0, so we're going to have 0 squared. Minus 4 minus 6 is going to be minus 10, and the square of minus 10 is going to be positive 100. So we can see where this is going. BC is square root of 100, and once we take the square root of that means that it's going to be equal to 10 units. So we've shown that AB is equals to BC. Okay. Now the question says find the area of triangle ABC. Okay, so if you want to find out the area, the best way to do it would be to quickly make a rough sketch and see where the points are going to lie. Okay, so if you start with A is 7, 0, that means it is going to be on the x-axis. So 7, 0. Actually, I'll just write 7 instead of 0, and this is going to be A. B is at minus 1, 6, so that means minus 1 is going to be somewhere here, and 6 is going to be somewhere here. So this is point B. And let's see where C at. C is at minus 1, minus 4. So let's see, minus 1, minus 4 is going to be, this was 6, right? Yeah, minus 1, minus 4 is going to be somewhere here. Okay, so let's join them with the help of straight lines and see what do we get. So there you go. Okay, now if you want the area, for area you will have to find out the base and the height. Why? Because the formula for calculating area is half times base times height. Okay, so if I'll have to take BC as my base. So 6 is where point B is at, and minus 4 is where point C is at. So if I want to calculate the base, it's going to be 6 minus minus 4. So that's going to be equal to 10. So that means my base is 10. Now if I want to work out the height, let me show you what my height is going to be. This length right here is going to be my height. So let's see, this value is 7 and this value is minus 1. So 7 minus minus 1, which is equal to 8, is going to be my height. Let's work this out. Half times 10 times 8. 10 times 8 is 80. 80 upon 2 is 40. So 40 units squared is going to be our final answer. So this is a loci question. In fact, it's sketching a triangle question. I can't solve this right now since I'm not using an actual pen and paper. However, as I said, I'll make a video separately doing all the questions that I've skipped related to loci or triangle construction. Okay, let's do question number 20, which is related to circle properties, and this is a very important topic for paper 1. So let's see, what do we have? We have to find out ABD. Let's identify ABD first. So ABD is going to be this angle. Okay, and what are the angles that are given to us? The angles given to us are ACB, which is 69, all right, and DCA, which is 34. Okay, so the property that I can see, that we're going to use here, is same segment. Let me show you how. So if you look at this angle 34, we can see that this angle 34 is making this arc. Okay, and if you look at this angle, the angle that we have to find, you will notice that it is facing the same arc also. So that means that the property here applied will be same segment, due to which angle ABD is going to be equal to 34 degrees. So 34 degrees. Another way to identify this is, instead of arc, you can consider your chord. If you have a look, you will notice that angle ACD is facing this chord, which is AD, and angle ABD is also facing the same chord, which is AD, which is why the two angles are going to be the same. Okay, the next angle that you have to find is AOD. AOD is the angle at the center. So we can see that the angle at the circumference is 34. So the angle at the center is going to be double of that, which is going to be 68 degrees. So here we have angle AOD, which is 68 degrees. Okay, so the next angle, which is DAB. DAB is going to be this angle. Okay, so for this, what I'll have to do is I'll have to consider ABCD as a cyclic quadrilateral. And what do we do when we have a cyclic quadrilateral? In case of a cyclic quadrilateral, the opposite angles, actually I can do better than that, the opposite angles are supplementary. What that basically means is that their sum is going to be 180. Okay, so I'm just redrawing it for you so that it's easy for you to understand. This is the angle that we have to find, and this angle was given to us in two pieces. One of them was 34 and the other was 69. So let's add and see what their total is. So 9 plus 4 is 13. 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 1 is 10. So this angle is 103, and if you want the angle that's opposite of it, you can get it by subtracting it from 180. So 180 minus 103 is going to be 77. Yeah, it's going to be 77. So let's write that down. 77 degrees. Okay, so 180, yeah, let me just double check. Yep, 77. Okay. Alright, so now we're at question number 21, which says the diagram shows points O and C and the vectors P and Q. Given that OA is equals to 2P, mark and label the point A on the diagram. Okay, so that's easy. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend this line and I'm going to double it, and where it ends is going to be point A. Okay, so here's 1P, and if I extend it in the same direction, that's going to give me 2P, and where it ends is where I'll find point A. Okay, so OB is P minus 2Q. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. So P I know is going to be here. Let me show you with the color blue. So this is P. Now minus 2Q means going in the direction of Q but reversing it. Okay, so minus 2Q means that I'll make this vector but in the opposite direction. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to make this with the color blue. So this is going to be 1Q. Okay, minus because it's in the opposite direction, and this right here is going to be minus 2Q. Okay, so I'm gonna place a point here, and this right here is minus 2Q. Okay, so there we go. We have the point V, which is P minus 2Q. Okay, so the next part says express OC in terms of P and Q. Okay, so if I want to go from O to C, let's see, what do I have to do? Let me use a third color. I'm going to use purple. So to get from O to C, I'm going to have to go in the direction of Q again. So Q and Q means 2Q, and then this vector is going to be the same as P except for the direction. So that means this is going to be in the opposite direction, which means that this is going to be minus P. So if I want to go from O to C, the direction that I will have to take is going to be 2Q minus P. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Let's do question number 22. So question number 22 says water drips from a tap into a container which stands on a horizontal surface. The container is a cuboid with base 5 cm by 4 cm. Alright. The volume of each drop is 0.08 centimeter cube. Calculate the change in water level caused by 400 water drops. Okay, so the volume of one drop is 0.08. The volume of 400 is going to be x. Let's cross multiply and see what the volume is going to be. So 400 into 0.08. So 0.08 times 100 is going to be 8. 8 times 4 is going to be 32. So that means the water added is going to be 32 centimeter cube. So that means the water inside this cuboid, this container, is going to be 32 centimeter cube. And we know that the volume of cuboid is equal to length times width times height. So 32 is going to be equal to 5 times 4 times height, which is unknown to us. So 32 is equals to 20h. H is equals to 32 upon 20. Let's simplify this. H is going to be equal to 16 upon 10 if I simplify it by 2. And 16 upon 10 is simply 1.6. Okay, let's do question number 23, which I believe is the last. Oh no, we have 2 more questions to go after that. Okay, nothing to worry about. So question number 23, we have the diagram OB, which is vector 12, 6. Show that the gradient of OB is 1, 2. Okay, so remember this. Whenever you have the vector form and you want to find out the gradient, so what you do is you simply divide y by x. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the y component, which is 6, and divide by the x component, which is 12, and that will give us 1 upon 2. And why is that? That's because the gradient is simply equal to change in y upon change in x. There you go. AB is parallel to OP and AB is P, 2. So that means the gradient of this will also be 1 upon 2. So if I want the gradient of this, I'm going to do 2 upon P is equals to 1 upon 2. Okay, I have again done the same thing. I've divided y by x. Now if I cross multiply, so P is going to be equal to 4. So let's write down here that P is 4. Write down the value of AB upon OB. Okay, so for that what I'll have to do is I'll have to take any 2 values and find out what their corresponding ratio is. So AP, since we have the value of P, that's 4, 2, and we have OB, and OB is 12 and 6. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is let's say I pick since AP is going to be in the numerator, so I'm going to take 4 and I'm going to divide it by 12. So 4 upon 12 is equal to 1 upon 3. I could have done this with the y components as well and I would have still gotten the same answer. Let me show you. I could have done this as 2 upon 6 and 2 upon 6 would have also given me 1 upon 3. AQ is perpendicular to OB. Write down the gradient of AQ. So when two lines are perpendicular, the gradients are negative reciprocal of each other. So if the gradient of OB is 1 upon 2, the gradient of AQ is going to be the negative reciprocal of it, which means minus 2. Okay. Given that AQ is equal to 3Q, find the value of Q. Again, I'm going to have to use the gradient here. So the gradient of AQ I just figured is minus 2. So that means Q upon 3 is equals to minus 2. And if I cross multiply, I can get the value of Q, and that's going to be minus 6. Okay, so I hope this is clear. This was a relatively easy question. In fact, this entire paper so far has been surprisingly easy. So express this as a single matrix. 3 is going to get multiplied with all these values, so that's going to make it 3 minus 3 is 0, 6. We're going to leave the minus sign as it is, and 2 is going to get multiplied with all these values, minus 2, 2, 4 and 2. So let's see, 3 minus minus 2, and then minus 3 minus 2, and then 0 minus 4, and then 6 minus 2. So 3 minus minus 2 is going to be 5, minus 3 minus 2 will be minus 5, 0 minus 4 will be minus 4, and 6 minus 2 will be 4. Find the inverse of this vector. So if I want to find the inverse, I'll have to do 1 upon the determinant. That means half minus 0. And what exactly is the determinant? It is AD minus BC. And then we know what happens next. D and A get swapped. So we're going to have A in place of D and D in place of A. And the sign of B and C get changed. So 0 is going to remain as it is. However, 1 will become minus 1. So here we have 1 upon half into 1 minus 1, 0 and half. 1 upon half is basically equal to 2. So that means this will become 2 into 1 minus 1, 0, half. So I'm just going to multiply all the values by 2. So we're going to have 2 minus 2, 0 and 1. There you go. Find the matrix X such that X into 3, 2 is equals to 6, 4 minus 3, 2. Okay, so this is a technical question. So first of all, you need to figure out what the order of matrix X is equal to. Okay, so the way to do that would be that you have 3, 2 and the result that you're getting is 6, 4 minus 3 minus 2. Okay, so the resultant matrix is the 2 by 2 matrix. Okay, and the matrix that I have here is a 1 by 2 matrix. All right, 1 row and 2 columns. So I got to figure out that what matrix should I multiply this by to make sure that the matrix that I get is a 2 by 2 matrix. So in order to make sure that these two matrices can be multiplied, I need to make sure that the number of columns of the first one is 1 of the first matrix is 1. And since you know that the order of the matrix is determined by looking at the number of rows of the first matrix and the number of columns of the second matrix. So that means the number of rows of the first matrix has got to be equal to 2. So that means the matrix that I'm going to multiply it by, the matrix that X, the order of matrix X must have been equal to 2 by 1. That means we must have had 2 rows and 1 column. So I'm just going to call them A and B. So now what happens if I multiply them? A gets multiplied by 3, so we have 3A. And A gets multiplied by 2, so we have 2A, okay, row into column, and then B gets multiplied by B, so we have 3B, and the same B gets multiplied by 2, so we have 2B. And this is equal to 6, 4, minus 3 and minus 2. So we're almost there. If you want to find out the value of A, so I'm going to pick something on the left hand side which contains A and the corresponding value on the right hand side. So 3A equals to 6, that means A is equals to 2, and 3B is equal to minus 3, which means B is equals to minus 1. So I now know what the matrix X is equals to, and the matrix X is basically equal to A I can see is 2 and B I can see is minus 1. So this is what matrix X is equal to. Okay, now let's do question number 25. It says the diagram is the speed time graph representing part of a train's journey. Okay, find the deceleration between t equals to 0 and t is equals to 10. So deceleration basically means the change in speed divided by the change in time. So I can say that the change in speed here is 40 minus 8, which is 32, and the change in time is 10. So this is going to give me 3.2, but I'm not going to put a negative sign because the question has already used the term deceleration. Find the distance traveled from t equals to 0 to t equals to 10. Okay, so the shape that we have from t equals to 0 to t equals to 10 is a trapezium. Now it may not look like a trapezium to you right away, but if you rotate it 90-degree clockwise or anti-clockwise, you will know what I mean. Okay, so if I rotate it 90-degree anti-clockwise, this is what this is going to turn into. Yep. So the height of the trapezium is going to be this, which is 10. The two parallel lengths, the longer one is going to be 40, the shorter one is going to be 8. All right, so here's the shorter one, you can see that this is 8, and here's the longer one, you can see that this is 40. So I just have to work out the area of this trapezium, for which I'll use the formula half into sum of parallel lengths. That means 40 plus 8 multiplied by height, which means 10. So 2 ones are 2, 2 5s are, actually there's no point in making this bracket here. Yeah, 2 5s are 10. Where was I? Yeah, 40 plus 8 is 48. 48 times 5 is 240. Between t equals to 0 and t equals to 60, the acceleration is 0.4 meter per second square. Calculate the speed when t equals to 60. Okay. So that means the acceleration of this region is 0.4, and I have to calculate the speed when t equals to t equals to 60. So again, I'm going to use the same concept, change in speed upon change in time. So if I want to work out the change in speed, I don't know what this value is, so I'm just going to call this v, and I do know what this value is. This is 8, so that means the change in speed is going to be v minus 8, and the change in time, however, is going to be 60 minus 10, which is 50. Okay, I'm just calculating the gradient basically. I'm going to set it equal to 0.4. So change in speed is v minus 8 divided by change in time, which is 60 minus 10, and that is 50. Yeah, 50. This is equal to 0.4. So v minus 8 is going to be equal to 0.4 times 50, which is going to be 20, and v is equals to 20 plus 8, which is 28 meters per second square. So with this, we have the answer to the last part of the last question, which means that we have completed this paper. So that's all for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video with another past paper or perhaps another concept. So until then, take care. Bye bye.